Let's get started. Welcome, my name is Dan Craig. I'm president of Jean Speakers Toastmasters Club. We're here for our regular Tuesday night meeting. We meet every week, 7:40 to 9 o'clock at Fairfield Business Park on North Highway 1. And if you are watching the video and need information, call 919-0913. We don't have any guests tonight, so I'm going to read the mission of the Toastmasters Club. The mission of the Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to practice oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. How about a little hand? I'm going to advise everyone to put their phone on silent. It can all wait till we're done. And my next order of business is to introduce tonight's Toastmaster, Veda Royale. Please welcome Veda.
Thank you, Dan. Tonight's meeting has a theme, and that is stay cool. The quote for tonight is, stay cool, stay humble, stay beautiful, and just do the work, by someone named Mary Clayton.
Do you know who that is?
I have no idea who that is.
She's a singer.
The female in Gimme Shelter,
Right.
that backup singer.
Rolling Stones.
Yeah, that song.
Diana Ross, she worked with Diana Ross and the Supremes.
Okay, great. Thank you for
Yeah.
that enlivening commentary
Thanks for that historical.
on
It's
the
like my favorite
quote.
song of all time.
Thank you, Dan, for being the president. Dan will also be the general evaluator later on tonight. And I'm going to introduce the other role players. The timer is Aaron Russell. Please give your role, Aaron.
Thank you, Toastmaster. So for tonight, we'll have a prepared speech. It will be my speech. I'll have 5 to 7 minutes to complete my speech. Green light will come on at 5, yellow at 6, red at 7, and then I'll have 30 seconds to complete. Would someone be willing to be the timer?
I can do it for
All
you.
right. Thank you, Veda. We'll also, after the speech, there'll be an evaluation, which will be 3 minutes. Green light will be at 2 minutes, yellow light at 2.5, and the red light will be at 3 minutes. Finally, we'll have table topics for tonight, which are 1 to 2 minute speeches. Green light will be at 1 minute, yellow at 1 minute 30 seconds, and the red light will be at 2 minutes.
Thank you,
That's
Aaron.
it.
Wait.
The grammarian is David.
Yeah.
Please introduce yourself, David, and give the grammarian role.
Thank you, Toastmaster.
Why don't you do it now?
I've been assigned to be a grammarian for today, and my responsibilities would be listen to the language used by members during the meeting and make note of any exceptionally good or bad uses of language. Give a brief report at the end of the meeting about what I've heard and observed. And I'll also listen to the word of the day. So the word of the day today is didn't come. Okay, didn't come.
Dink.
Like dim cum.
Didn't come.
Yeah.
It's like dim cum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dink.
D-I-N-K-U-M?
Yeah,
And it
exactly.
means,
Wait.
sorry.
The definition is real, genuine, honest, honestly, genuinely. It can be used as an adjective or an adverb. Yeah. Some of the statements that you can do is if you have a income desire, you would always work towards it, which means genuine desire. Yeah. So that's my role today.
Okay.
Thank you, David. I'll depend on Dan's skillful editing skills. And also, I'd be wondering what the origin of the word is. Do you have an origin or a country or a language?
I just picked it up from the website which showed me the word of the day. It didn't show me origin.
Okay, well, I'll be careful how I use that
Looks
word.
German.
All right,
Sounds
next,
German, doesn't
next person will be the odd
Sing
counter.
German.
That would be D. Stouffer.
it? The what?
D. Stouffer, you're the odd
The
counter.
R counter, yeah.
Oh, you're the
Oh, thank you.
one? 3, 2, 1, what are you? And it's-
I'm Dave Doggins.
Could you introduce yourself, D, and tell us what you do?
Oh, okay, the up counter keeps track of pauses in conversation, tongue clicks, ahs, you know, you like. In other words, things where you're trying to gather your thoughts and figure out what you're going to say next.
Thank
That's
you,
the up
Dan.
counter.
D, thank you, D.
And I had some help here from somebody else already.
Great. So later on, we'll have the joke master, which will be Jean Symington Craig. And also an evaluator. So as an evaluator for Aaron Russell, Jean will be reading the objectives for Adam's speech.
Mr. Toastmaster, may I interject one piece?
Yes.
I found out about 7:15 that Art Atkinson was not going to be able to be here tonight. He was scheduled to be the evaluator, and I was scheduled to be table topics evaluator. So we shifted it around, and D, I also put you in last minute for table topics evaluator, because you do a good job with those.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
Okay.
I've got to do 2 jobs here. I guess we don't have enough people.
We don't,
Okay.
so just,
I'm doing double duty.
yeah, do the best you can, and good, so thank you
Okay.
for that, I know it was a last minute decision, thank you.
All right, to clarify, you are still the evaluator, and our evaluator for table topics will be D. Stouffer. So let's welcome Jean to give the objectives for Aaron's speech.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Aaron is giving the second project, he's starting a second project in his, and which path are you on again?
Persuasive influence.
Good. Aaron is doing the persuasive influence path, and this is his second project, and the purpose is for the member to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and then apply the feedback to a second project. Pretty simple, but that's something that we're going to be doing all the time in Toastmasters is it's that evaluation and then taking what feels right and adding it and so that your speech gets better. So that's what we'll be doing. He is to give a well-organized speech, and it can be any style that he wants, humorous, informational, persuasive, anything, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jean. Impeccable introduction. But I will be giving the introduction for the speaker. Our speaker tonight is Aaron Russell, who would like to take some of your precious time to talk to you about an important concept: time management. Time has a funny way of sneaking up on us in ways we would never expect. So making sure we can manage our time effectively is one of the keys to success in life. Aaron is a manufacturing engineer at John Deere in Ottumwa, Iowa. He's been a Toastmaster for a little over a year, and in his spare time, he enjoys playing guitar, reading, and working on house projects. The title of his speech is Time Management, Getting More Done with Less Stress. Please welcome me join me in welcoming Aaron Russell. Aaron.
You being time.
Yes, where's the,
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Time is kind of an interesting concept, isn't it? Sometimes it feels like a minute can last an eternity, while other times it seems like a day could just come and go like that. But I think we can all agree that no matter how much time we have, we never seem to have enough to get all of the things that we want to get done accomplished. That's why it's important that we practice good time management techniques. That way we can get a lot more done in less time, all while reducing our stress levels significantly. So tonight I'm going to share with you some basic time management techniques, including prioritizing our work, pacing ourselves properly, and better managing our distractions. And I guarantee that if you follow these techniques, you will find yourself getting way more done than you ever thought possible. The first, and in my opinion, most important technique to better managing our time is to prioritize our work effectively. And in order for us to do this, we need to understand what are our priorities. Well, at work, this is relatively simple. It really depends on what our job is and what our roles are, what company we work for, and how our job plays into those companies' goals. More or less, it's what your boss holds you accountable for. On a personal level, our priorities are not as clear specifically. And they really depend on what our values are. Some of us might really value our religion or faith, and others of us might really value the time that we spend with friends and family. Obviously, the fact that we're all in this room means that we like to prioritize our public speaking and communication skills. Regardless of whether or not what these values are, they can be distilled down into what our priorities are. And essentially, we can rank these priorities based on how important they are to us and how much time we want to allot to them. And really, in order for us to act on these priorities, we really need to set goals, actionable items that we want to have completed by a given point in time. For example, in our Toastmasters journey, we might decide that how many meetings we want to attend over a given year, or which level we want to achieve in our pathways by the end of the calendar year. And with each of these goals, they should be distilled down into weekly or even daily tasks that will essentially become our prioritized to-do list for any given day. That way we will always know what we want to get done every day. And we should really write these down, believe it or not. Writing them down will make them a lot more real because you're actually putting pen to paper. And it will also really improve your memory of them because trying to rely on this guy is usually not very effective. And finally, it just feels good to cross stuff off a list as you complete it. The next way that we can better manage our time effectively is by pacing ourselves properly. A lot of people might think that the best way to get more done is to just blaze through your day, guns blazing, never stopping for anything, just marathon your way through. But believe it or not only is this a very unhealthy way of working, it will not maximize your productivity. In fact, what studies show is that the best way to get the most work done is to treat our day more as a series of sprints with breaks in between to stop and relax. In fact, they say that 20% of your working time should be devoted towards relaxation. In other words, for an 8-hour day, we should spend 1 hour and 15 minutes relaxing. And what you do during this time is really up to you. You could take a walk, meditate, take a nap, browse the internet, whatever it is that relaxes your mind. And during this time, actually, what's happening is your mind is actually processing all of the work and the information related to it that you've been doing and freeing up precious mind space for the tasks you're going to be completing in the future. And really what this does is it not only allows us to think a lot more creatively, and it bypasses the fatigue that we might experience throughout the day, and it keeps us from making time-wasting mistakes that will force us to redo work we've already done. The third and final way that we can better manage our time is by managing our distractions. Let's be honest, this is a really important one in today's day and age because of these guys right here. These are the bane of our existence when it comes to distractions. But there are things that we can do to help mitigate that. Let me paint a scenario for you. You're in the middle of something, you're working on it, you're in the zone, and all of a sudden your boss or your spouse calls and says, "Hey, could you do something for me? Just take 5 minutes. It won't take much of your time." You might feel compelled to say, "Well, I'm in the middle of something. Let me just write it down. I'll get to it later, or I'll just remember it." Well, let me say that it actually might make more sense for you to just get that task done right away as soon as you can. Because keep in mind, at this point, you're already distracted. And so by trying to remember to do that task later, or writing it down and having it linger in the back of your mind, you will become more distracted away from that task you're working on. And if you instead spend the 5 minutes to just get that work done, just throw it away and not think about it again, you will be able to devote 100% of your time back towards that task, and you will find yourself getting way more done than if you had waited to do that task. Here's another scenario for you. Let's say that you're in the middle of something once again, and all of a sudden, bling, your phone vibrates, or an email notification pops up in the corner of your screen. Well, if you're anything like me, you want to click on that right away and look at it. Now, you do this a couple times a day, not really a big deal, but if you do it consistently every 5 minutes or so, you will find your productivity taking a dive. And if we instead decide to simply turn off these notifications, find a way to keep them from popping up in the corner of our screen, and actually checking them only at periodic points, maybe every 3 to 4 hours throughout the day, and checking them all at once and sending out all the replies we need, then that will improve the amount of time and work that we can get done significantly. And that approach to a lot of people might seem kind of standoffish, but here's my rule of thumb. If anyone really needs me in an emergency, I will always answer a phone call. If you really need me, answer a phone call. Regardless, you gotta understand I might not answer your email right away. So there you have it. 3 ways that we can better manage our time. If we just simply prioritize our work, pace ourselves properly, and manage our distractions more effectively, we can get way more done than we ever thought was possible. So, hey, now's the time to get all of those tasks done that you never thought you had time for. All those things that you've been putting off for so long. Because, hey, our time is limited, so let's make sure we make the most of it.
Thank you, Aaron. Now take a couple of minutes to evaluate Aaron's speech. And since I did the timing, I know which of the speakers qualified, and you can say it, Aaron. Who qualified?
The speaker qualified, which would be me.
Great. I'm going to be calling up Jean when she's ready to give you her evaluation. Do you need any more time?
I'll work on it a little bit more later.
Okay, we could do table topics first, and then,
I wouldn't mind doing that.
okay, we're gonna call for table topics first, and then we're gonna call for the evaluation later. So our table topics master for tonight, please give him a warm welcome, Mr. Jyoti Raj.
Hello Toastmasters. I'm your table topic master tonight. Table topics is impromptu speaking. The table topic master gives you a topic or question and you have 2 minutes to talk on that. You get 30 seconds to think and start talking. So it's impromptu speaking. So you have to prepare your speech here and now. So I have 6 questions. I made these questions based upon our theme, stay cool, stay humble, stay beautiful. Who wants to go first? If nobody wants to go, I'll pick somebody up.
Or voluntold.
Volunteer. Volunteer. Jean? Yes, please. So question 1 to 6.
4.
4. Do you have enemies? Enemies?
Enemies.
If yes, what makes you think that they are your enemy? Enemies. If you have enemies, why do you think they are your enemies?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, and viewers at home. I don't think I have enemies. That's why I'm thinking a little bit about this question. Enemies, if you're out there, please email me and let me know so we can work it out. I think I've had people in the past who I had differences of opinion with, but I wouldn't consider them enemies. Enemy is a pretty strong word, I would say. Pretty strong. I come from the background of, hey, everyone likes me. It's, how could you not like me? I mean, it just, look, listen to me, I'm likable. So if I have an enemy, I'd like to know about it because it's a little hard for me to process that I have an enemy. As I've gotten older, I am not quite as the social butterfly that I have been. So there are people who don't perhaps know me. But in terms of enemy, there seems to be energy around enemies. Someone actively has to be disliking you. I don't feel like I have that. If I did have someone like that, I would probably be working pretty hard to smooth over whatever it was that had created that issue, because I generally would feel that it's a misunderstanding in some way, or that I unknowingly offended someone, but that it wasn't intentional. And so I would be, with all good heart and intention, be trying to talk to that person and say, you know, I'm sorry. It's never, no big deal to say you're sorry if you offended someone. Just get it done and move on. And so I guess that would be my answer, Mr. Table Topics Master, that the concept of enemy for me is a little foreign, but I hope talking about this is going to make me think about, if I ever do have one, how to handle it.
Thank you. Okay, wanna go next?
Stay cool.
Thanks for the tip.
Yeah.
1 to 6, 4 is gone. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. 3. How do you stay cool in the time of crisis?
Oh, I like it. Good.
Mr. Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, and viewers at home. These are challenging questions, Mr. Jyoti, very challenging. However, digging deeply, the first answer that came to mind is I don't stay calm, but it depends on the type of the crisis. Certain types of crises, my superpower comes out, that I can tackle an accident. If there's an accident, a spill, someone accidentally sets off the fire extinguisher in the corner of the room, and everybody else will be running, I'm there calmly cleaning it up, containing the mess. So I'm able to do that very well. But the question is how I do it and why I do it. I'm not really sure. I'm thinking in a time of crisis, when everybody else is losing their heads, I can keep mine on better. So I'm going to keep it to the short answer. Mr. Topic Master.
You go next. David?
I'll go. Somebody take notes on that.
Okay, so
Thank you for saving
can
me.
we pass that,
Let's just write it.
no,
Oh, this, I have 2 roles.
I know.
So,
I'm gonna get you on this one.
Okay.
Does someone wanna evaluate D?
I'll
You
take,
wanna
them in.
evaluate D?
I'll take,
Hey.
keep track of them.
Okay.
1, 2, 5, and 6.
6.
If someone troubles you, do you like to speak up or keep quiet?
Madam Toastmaster, viewers at home, viewers in the world. If somebody speaks up to me, what was the question again?
Troubles you?
Troubles you, what do you do? The very first thing I would do, I'd do some breathing, some deep breathing, maybe some Basarga. Because what happens when somebody comes at you that way is you don't think, you just react. We all fortunately live in a community here where we do things to quiet our minds, meditating and stuff. You know, you maybe do your mantra for a couple of seconds. The main thing to do is to understand inside what's going on with you. And when you can feel what's going on inside with you, you can act instead of reacting to what's coming at you. Now, I've had experiences like this before. I'm trying to think of some. Right. I have clients that come into my Pilates studio, of course. And I've had some people that, they kind of push my buttons a little bit. And the thing that I have to remember to do is just to listen to them, hear them out. Because if somebody's coming at you like this, the first thing to do is just breathe. And really, just breathe, because what happens is you stop breathing, you get tight inside. And then, just kind of reflect on what's going on within your body. May feel your stomach churning or a tightness in the chest. If you can connect to what's happening in your body emotionally and psychologically and actually physically, then it's everything slows down. It's like you're in slow motion. You're going, I'm talking really slow. That maybe. But that's what's going on in your mind. You're not saying anything. And when you start to talk, then, your mind's clear. You can even do some posture, but that freaks people out. Anyway, that's it.
D.
Oh, I forgot that. Sure.
Thank you.
Did somebody
Do you
take
have
notes on me?
time for more?
Yes.
Okay, who is the next one?
David.
David.
David, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, and 5.
1.
What makes you angry, and why does it do so? What makes you angry and why? A particular thing makes you angry.
Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters and viewers at home. As I think about what makes me really angry, there are various things that can really make me angry, but one thing that kind of ticks me off very often is when I tell them that this is the right way of doing, and then people kind of oppose and debate over that. That really ticks me. And then it hits on my nerves so bad that I really have to be really vocal and speak it out, saying that I am right. And the reason being, it's when I say I'm right, it's not just because out of certain theories. It's just out of my own personal experience and own my relevant experience to that, and it's more factual. So when I say I am right, I know it. So when people say that you're not right and they kind of debate over those things, that really ticks me off and makes me angry. I think that's the real topmost reason for me to get angry. And there are other aspects that I get angry, but nothing I can really think of as of now. The only thing that comes to me is like when I'm right, people say you're wrong. That makes me angry.
Okay, want to go next? Dan? We have 2 and 5. 5. Okay. That's a very good question for you, I think. What is the definition of beauty for you?
Ooh.
Where do you find beauty and why? That's a very good question. You can describe it nicely, I know. Very well.
Thank you, Mr. Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home. I believe most of the time when I'm struck by the thought that something's beautiful, it's a visual experience. Maybe I'm looking at some scene in nature. A mountain lake, deep forests. Maybe I'm looking at a beautiful lady.
In your house.
I'm not sure where else I would see it. Yes, good point. The other thing that I find beautiful at sometimes is another sense, which is hearing, and it's often music. I have a very eclectic taste in music. Everything from classical to golden oldies to Patsy Cline.
Oh.
At any given point, something could just strike me as wonderful. Often it's vocal harmonies. I like to sing. I love to sing in a 3-part harmony with other people. I find that very beautiful. It just touches me completely. So I believe that those two senses are my main source of feeling that something's beautiful, and I think that's really a dinkum experience of beauty that I've just had. Thank you.
Okay, we are done with the topic. Mr. Timer, are all
Who is qualified?
qualified?
All of the speakers tonight qualified.
All of the speakers tonight qualified. What are their names?
That would be Jean, Veda, Dee, David, and Dane.
Okay, we'll vote for the table topic speakers.
A lot of D's.
Welcome back. Now I'd like to call our General Evaluator, Jean Craig, to continue the meeting with his.
What?
Dan Craig?
I think you were supposed to call me back, but you can
Now
call
that you're
me
done evaluating table topics.
back since
get
we're
back and do
skipping.
that.
Yeah.
Dee, are you ready to evaluate table topics for us?
Sure.
Let's welcome Dee Stauffer to evaluate our table topics.
Oh,
Come on down.
all right, I got, Veda went first?
Jean went first.
Oh, Jean
And
went first.
And then myself, and then I evaluated you, and then
So we want
David.
to define enemies. Okay. I'll do
Jean first.
Jean went first. So I think hers was define enemies. That was something
What
like
do I do with enemies?
what do you do with enemies? Yeah. So first thing she did, because that's a strong word, enemies. You know, it attacks you emotionally. And so the first thing she did was define that. And she kind of turned the question upside down in terms of what an enemy is and how do you not have to get into that position where you're actually defining things, looking more at being open and having people that are your friends. Good hand gestures, she moved around, made good eye contact with the audience, a lot of opening and closing, and I thought it was really good. Next was Veda. It says, how do you stay cool in a crisis? Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
So Veda always does this. He takes more time than anybody else in here to ponder the question itself and to think about it. Probably twice as much time, which I think is a good idea. You know, I tend to get up and just blurt it out. So he collects his thoughts, he addressed the audience, and defined this as a challenging question. I think he said something about my superpower. You said that? Your superpower comes out and gives you a psychological framework rather than just dealing with it emotionally and getting right out there. And by observing, and also by, he said, by observing others. Who was next? Let's see.
Dee was next,
I was next. Oh,
and I have the
okay. Go ahead.
review for that. Why don't you go and I'll go do it at the end.
And who was after Dave?
David.
David. Oh, David. Yeah. What makes you angry? Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So David took a few minutes to collect his thoughts. I think that's a question where it kind of hits you emotionally inside, because anger is a big emotion. We lose our thinking and we say things that we regret later. And he went right after the question. He defined what happens to him inside emotionally when he gets angry. And he based a lot of this on his past. He talked about his past experience and validating how he reacts emotionally when somebody makes him angry, which I thought was a really good point, because you have to rely on your experience when you're in a situation that's stressful. And then I got something here about, oh brother, where art thou?
Dan.
That was,
Dan, music.
he used that word, and you all, that, yeah. Oh, Dan, here. Didn't you use that? Oh, brother, where art thou? No,
I don't
somebody
think so.
did. Huh?
I don't think so.
Somebody did. Oh, anyway. Dan, his definition of beauty, I believe that was his question. Dan, I like the way Dan presents himself. He always has a big smile on his face when he comes up, and always, probably more than anybody else, takes a little bit of time to kind of relax and think about what's going on and how he wants to address the question. He gave some examples. He talked about deep forest, lake, beautiful scenery, and when you're in your house. He gave some other examples about listening to soft music, and he also mentioned, as I don't know if I mentioned this before, one of my all-time favorite vocalists, Patsy Cline. You did mention her name, didn't you, Dave?
Yes.
Yes. Which, if any of you have ever heard Patsy Cline, how many people have ever heard Patsy Cline? Yeah, all-time favorite vocalist. Unfortunately, you know how she ended up. Anyway, I had to throw that in there about Patsy. If you ever get a chance, one of the all-time best.
Time for him.
She's on the hit parade, remember?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
why don't you bring Veda?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Great. So time me separately
Okay.
and we'll make sure that's under
How
a
much
minute.
time do you get?
Just a minute, so red light in a minute. A minute and a half, so give me a minute and a
Okay.
half. Or something.
So a minute and a half is
Yeah.
the disqualification.
Just
Yeah.
put the red light on at 2 minutes and that'll be fine. 1 minute, 1.5.
One person?
Just go ahead, Tom. Don't worry about it.
Excuse me, but 5 minutes have passed while we've been there.
fellow Toastmasters.
Simon's choice.
We had a wonderful topic tonight by Jody Raj. And Dee really did very well. Dee has a knack of picking up the thread and diving into it. As he said, he doesn't have to think much. He can just talk on almost any subject. In this case, he gave us good tips about what we should do, and he explained breathing, and he really extended it into lots of variations. And he said he even used all kinds of tonality to demonstrate what we should do. My suggestion for D would be avoid special terms like Bostrika, because people won't know what that is. But it was great that you demonstrated it, or define it more carefully. Bostrika, a form of breathing. And the second thing is, at the end of the speech, you get a little lost. Just get in the habit of saying, thank you, Mr. or Madam Topic Master, and that will set you up to shake their hand. And that will give more clues. Thank you so much, Dee. So as Toastmaster, I will retake control of the meeting while I'm up here. We should take a moment to think about if there's any evaluation of D that's need to be done for the end of the meeting for the general evaluator. So we'll take 30 seconds for that, and then we'll prepare to have the other evaluator come up. Actually, we'll prepare to have Dan come back to call for those.
Huh?
I'm not sure what you're doing.
I'm saying we'll prepare to have you, we'll give 30 seconds, we'll have you come and call for the other evaluations.
What's the 30 seconds for?
Just in case you need to think about part of your general evaluation.
Sorry.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, supplementary evaluator. Other roles. Now let's hear the speech evaluation by Jean, who's going to give an evaluation of Aaron's speech.
Fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, and particularly Aaron, I really like how dinkum Aaron is when he presents. He's right on, you just know this is coming from his heart and his soul and his mind. Very effective. Some general comments I would have for Aaron. What he excelled at, in my mind, extremely well organized and tight content. Very clear what his three main points were: prioritizing, pacing, and managing distractions. And then he also did his staging, which is, I gave him good marks for that, because as you may have noticed, he came over and he took a position on the stage to discuss prioritizing, and he gave us very excellent subpoints. So all the subpoints tied in very well to his main point, which is wonderful. I just love it when there's just this clear outline, organization, so easy to follow. He went over here and then he talked about his next point, his pacing. He even, I guess we could say walked, we could say his pacing, but that would be too much of a pun. But he walked over and he talked about pacing, and then he finished up at the front, managing distractions. Very well done. He also used, another strong point was his humor. He did pull out a phone, which we all know is the bane of our existence. I'm actually considering looking at one of those apps, measure how much time you're on it, because I think I'm out of control. But that was very funny. And he also gave a lot of I call them storied examples of how a distraction can happen. And we could all relate to some of those things. Your spouse calls and asks you to do something. And how do you manage that? So I like that. He he would give us a principle and then he would give us an example. And that's how we really learn. Things that I would suggest for Aaron to work on. Sources. He gave a couple of points. Studies have shown that it's better to sprint and then have breaks than just to run. What studies are those? Where does that come from? I think it would add strength and credibility to his speech if he says, according to the there was another one, 20% of us, there was some fact that had a 20%, so whenever you have a statistic or you mention a study, where did that come from? He could also have put in a quote from some very well-known time management, guru type person, just to give it some extra flavor. The other thing I would mention would be, since stress is in the title, how to get more done with less stress, I'd like to see points within each of his main points that address how these techniques will reduce stress. He definitely outlined for us how to do them, but it didn't indicate to me how that was going to reduce stress and why that would be a good thing and how it would be helpful for productivity. So those are my suggestions. I'll have more for Aaron on my handout, but really enjoy your speeches.
Or your agenda here.
We got lots here, lots here. There we go.
We've had 2 evaluators, 2.5 evaluators. Let's take a minute. Oh, first, Mr. Timer, did our evaluators all qualify?
All evaluators qualified.
And their names are?
D, Veda, and Jean.
I'm not sure if I get to go in there.
Yeah, are we still,
Yeah.
We don't vote for me.
so D and Jean?
Veda declines, all right.
You're the understudy.
But excellent job, thank you, Veda.
Yes, couldn't have done it without.
Let's take a minute and vote for your best evaluator. All right.
Good. He said about.
The votes are in.
The votes are in, very good. We'll move along now. And we're going to have our reports. First, let's hear from our timer, Aaron Russell.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. For our speech for tonight, which was mine, I clocked in at 7 minutes and 11 seconds.
7-11.
What's that?
7-11.
Yeah. Table topics tonight, Jean was 2 minutes 18 seconds, Veda was 1 minute 30, D was 2 minutes 9 seconds, David was 1 minute 25, and Dan was 1 minute 55. Actually, quite a bit on the short side. D, for our speech evaluators, D was 4 minutes and 4 seconds, Veda was 1 minute 27, and Jean was 3 minutes and 25 seconds. Right at the cusp. And that's all I got.
Now let's hear a report from our grammarian, David. Say hi.
What am I supposed to say? Thank you, evaluator, or?
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Okay, thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Please bear with me, I'm still finding my spot as a grammarian, so. Today's speech given by Aaron, I think there's a good use of language and a lot of good vocabulary, but this is my just personal feeling that there are certain places it was too wordy, okay, on certain statements, so that's exactly one of those things, my comment. And for table topics, Jean, there's a good use of language, but just because it was quite a strong topic, there was a bit of processing because of that. There are a few statements that was repetition, okay. And for Veda, yeah, for the table topics, that's the same thing that happened because it was kind of actually bit of processing was happening over there on those little strong topic. So there are little statements that get repeated again and again and distorted. And I think B was absolutely fine. He was very confident in good use of language. And I think about the word of the day, we had Jean, who used the word of the day, as part of her evaluation. And then, I think that's it.
No?
Oh,
And
I tried.
yeah, Dan also used it. I'm sorry, I missed it. Okay, the two people used it, and Dan also used the word of the day. I think that's the report that I have.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Now let's hear from D and his second job, his odd
Odd
counter.
All right.
Okay, so there's a long list here. Dan had one so, one and. Veda had one and. Aaron had one David had,
35.
yeah, I didn't do David. Three ahs, ums, a couple ums, two so's, two ands. Aaron had one one like, two so's. Jean had two ums. Veda was clean, I guess. I was off the charts. I was pretty good except for my ums.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of ums. One, I'm thinking, lots of them. And a couple you knows and some ands and a couple false starts. David had 5 ahs, 2 ums, so and Dan had 2 false starts. That's it.
Okay.
Now it's time for a joke from Jean. Come on down.
Remember, the theme is stay cool. Okay, so these are just a bunch of little jokes. So what does a bee do when it is hot?
Hives.
Now, what does the bee do when it's hot? Okay, I know you guys aren't gonna get this, so I won't try to extract it from you. I am dinkum that you guys will take too long to make that work. Is that right?
Yeah.
Dinkum.
I am genuine.
I am honestly,
Dinkumly.
oh, I am dinkumly, we gotta go look at that one.
They rest.
Yeah, okay. So he takes off his yellow jacket. Okay. How do you make, okay, we're gonna do these rapid fire. How do you make holy water?
You
Boil
pour
the
down-
hell out of it.
Oh.
Okay. What happened after the mom purchased a loaf of bread from Hy-Vee?
She loves.
By the time she got home, it was toast. What do you, I know, these, this is like where you're pulling your jokes and you read the first one, you go, yeah, that's good, and you pretty good, and then you get over and you're going, no, I don't like that one. I don't like that one either. So anyway, so bear with. What do you need to visit Death Valley, Arizona?
Air conditioning.
Dental records. Can someone explain, is that,
Yes,
like
because
you
they're.
die and you
You
shrivel
die,
up?
there people have died out there. I've been to Death
But do you
Valley.
shrivel up so all that's left are your
What's left are your
teeth?
teeth.
Okay. Okay, what did the air condition, I'm selecting here, what did the air conditioning say to the man?
Cool it.
See you cool.
I'm your biggest fan.
Right.
What are the only 2 seasons in Phoenix, Arizona?
Hot and more hot.
That's it, hot and hotter. Good. How do heat lamps communicate?
By
Incandescently.
By lamppost.
by lamppost. Okay.
What did one,
As opposed to post office.
okay, this is particularly for Iowa. What did, okay, but not for Iowa because it has a beach in it. What did one pig say to another at the beach?
Oink.
I'm baking.
That's it, I'm baking.
Yeah.
Which is faster, heat or cold?
Which is what?
Faster. Heat or cold? Which is faster? Heat, because you can catch a cold.
Uh,
Okay,
Okay.
that's it. That's it.
Thank you for that inspiration.
Always people wanting more.
Oh, I got more if you need one more.
Somehow I still want more. Now for a quick evaluation of the evaluators. I'm going to start with D, who evaluated most of the table topics. D showed us, as he moved from person to person, that he had thought of ways to praise everybody. He found good points that everybody had come through with. I think the suggestion for D is that you need to orient yourself, we all need to orient ourselves to the idea that we always want to give a suggestion wherever possible. We have two things we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to encourage people to continue. We're also trying to help them improve. But the last impression that I had of your evaluation was that you had listened very carefully. It was obvious from the points that you made, person by person, that you were listening very closely to them. Veda, just a quick thought. I noticed many good things that he did well. He had good praise. He had excellent suggestions. Since you were just half an evaluator, I don't have to give you a suggestion.
Give me half a suggestion.
If you were 3/4, that would be different. Now, for Jean's evaluation, I noticed a number of good points. Back at the beginning of the meeting, she gave a good introduction to the project. She clarified what path it was in. That's always good for us to understand what we're going to be hearing. I heard good enthusiasm in her evaluation, very clear thinking, well expressed. She praised Aaron for his excellent organization and content along with examples. And I think we probably all noticed those points. It was a very strong part of his talk. A thing that I would particularly praise Jean for is that she gave examples. When she gave praise or when she gave a suggestion, she gave a good, clear example of what she was talking about. So that was excellent. I think the only thing that I would give as a suggestion is a little bit of a backdoor thing. It was just one of your points of suggestion to Aaron that I didn't think quite held water logically. Maybe it's just that I didn't quite think that it was a suggestion that I would have given. It was the point of putting an explanation of how each type of strategy would reduce stress. And I thought in general that was a logical thing to do, but in the way I was thinking of it, that would just get a little clunky to try to come back to that like that. So it's kind of a backdoor suggestion. The other thing that I think you could have mentioned for Aaron was the pacing of his talk. I don't believe you mentioned that. In general, it was excellent. I'm kind of skipping over back to Aaron's speech. But I heard a lot of the talk was going at a little too fast of a pace. So I thought you could have given him that feedback. Mm-hmm. But as usual, you gave a wonderful evaluation. Thank you. Now let's have our Toastmaster back up to the awards. Thank you, Veda.
Thank you, Dan. An excellent job of evaluating the evaluators and evaluating everything that could be evaluated. Also an excellent job to our other role players, and I will be now announcing the awards. The suspense builds. Our best speaker is Aaron Russell. Definitely,
Wow.
definitely reserve my left hand for the award,
That's right.
or get Aaron to come on the right side. Thank you, Aaron. The best tape topics is D.
Exactly. Do that right.
Great. And for the last surprise ending, best evaluator is Jean. We'll do the screen capture and send out the press releases later.
Put it on our Facebook page.
So as Toastmaster of this evening, I've had a great time. We did a great job of getting all the roles to work. And people who did double duty were Dee and Aaron. So thank you for that. So with that, I will hand control of the meeting to our president, Dan Craig.
Thank you, Veda. Thank you, everyone. An excellent meeting tonight. Do we have any points of business that anyone needs to bring up at this time?
Well, I'm wondering what's happening with getting more people to come to Toastmasters. If there's any thought about that.
We talked last time about having another presence at the Art Walk.
Art Walk, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's our next,
In September.
Yeah, so,
September, yeah.
because the first Fridays is next Friday, but then it would be the Friday, the next month after.
Right, right.
So I think we have 18 members, right now?
18?
18?
But we have
We do.
But we have just like 6, 7.
Yeah,
Well, these are the people that show up every week.
What's that, Gene?
Did you want to explain, you know, the number?
What's happening here? We are 18 and we are 7 here, 8 here all the time.
We have 4 or 5 people who would ordinarily be here and aren't here for one reason or the other tonight. We do have part of that group of 18 who joined kind of as a special
Right.
in order to make sure that we achieved our goals so that our club coach could get his DTM.
Right.
We have 3 of those.
Right. And we have a couple people who won't be continuing, it looks like.
Mhm.
So we definitely need members. We need to finish our year with 20 members, or 20 members this year.
Mhm.
So we'll talk about that some more.
Right.
In that context, I want to mention that next Tuesday is the first Tuesday in August, and so we'll have our officers meeting. That'll be downstairs in the dining room at 6:50, from 6:50 to 7:30. 2 of the things that I have in mind to put on the agenda are the Successful Club program, and a sub-point of that is increasing our membership. It is one of our most important focuses.
That's next week,
Right.
at 7.
6:50.
6:50.
And everyone in the club is invited. Officers should definitely attend. Do we have anything else? Jean?
I just want to acknowledge Dee, because I have people tell me all the time, oh, Dee keeps telling me to come to Toastmasters. So Dee is really good about personal invitation.
Right.
And that's a big way to get that done. And then last week, I know Jyoti brought Wainu?
Yeah.
Did he have any thoughts about coming again?
Yeah, he was also interested. I have not seen him for a couple of weeks, but yeah, he was interested
Okay,
to join. Probably he'll join, he said, but I'm not sure.
and you invited him personally? Okay. So-
All right, well, let's all continue to invite people.
Wait, I wasn't quite done yet.
All right.
Can I just speak? So, in your walking about, and we all got those pins that had to do with, Toastmasters Ask Me How. You guys remember that? So, just for the heck of it, try putting it on sometime and see what happens, just as an experiment. See if you get some conversations and, and then we invite people over.
Yeah, in swimming pool, we are doing that, right? D? When we are in
No, in
pool,
the pool, I saw.
pool we do that.
In
Good.
the hot tub in,
Hot tub.
In the hot tub, inviting
Is it
people.
invite
Yeah, yeah.
people and tell them to come to Toastmasters?
Yeah,
There's-
see,
you know,
that is really, really powerful.
there's, yeah.
Anyway, I just want to
Absolutely.
acknowledge people that invite, and so that's one way we get it done.
Have we ever approached the chamber?
We don't have time at this
Yeah,
point.
okay.
We're actually past
Okay,
time
okay.
that our meeting should be closed.
Okay.
But that would be definitely something we should talk about, is ways that we can increase our membership. We can continue the discussion after
Sure,
the
sure.
meeting closes and at the officers' meeting also. Is there anything else?
When is that?
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you. Help clean up.